Welcome back to the Digg podcast. I am your host, Caroline O'Neill, and today you're listening to a Digg highlight. I hope you're loving the Digg highlights. We're actually loving going back through the archives and checking out all the guests again and just being, I suppose, remotivated when we listen to them. And today's podcast highlight is no different. Before I introduce who it is, I just want to ask if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. So many people still haven't pressed subscribe. And if you're watching or listening on Spotify, hit the follow button. And on Apple Podcasts, hit the follow button. It means that the podcast can keep growing and we can keep bringing you great guests each week. Today on the Dig podcast, you're going to hear a highlight moment from my conversation with Managing Director of the Dead Rabbit, Jack McGarry. So, the Dead Rabbit is one of the best bars in the world. It has been named as one of the best bars in the world, and it has scaled significantly since my last conversation with Jack. And that's what this highlight moment is. And I felt it was really, really important to include it because Jack talks about scaling your business. So many businesses want to scale, but is it scaling or is it growing? Do you want to grow your business or do you want to scale it? They're two different things. And it was only in my conversation with Jack that I really started to realize the difference. So if that's you, and even if it's not, you're going to love listening to Jack and his straightforward, authentic approach to life and business. But the scaling conversation is massive and he has achieved what he set out to achieve. And that's why this highlight moment is so significant.
Getting in touch with that why for me. Coming to America, I was just sick, sore, and tired of the representation of our culture over here. It's fucking corned beef and cabbage, patty whackery, leprechauns, all of that type of stuff, and it's just not. And these people over here call that Irish, so it's not Irish. So that took a bit of, like, in recovery, that really started to not. So at the business, the harder skills I was developing, and then the softer side of, like, I was just deeply unhappy with the representation of Ireland. And I thought that we had an amazing opportunity to start changing that conversation. And with that, you cannot just do that with Dead Rabbit, or one Dead Rabbit in New York. You have to take that mission of changing the conversation with Ireland, and challenging Paddy Wacker. You have to take that, has to grow, in order for us to change the conversation, and achieve that mission. So there's a missionary perspective to it. But listen, obviously, every business has to make money. It has to be profitable, and profit is the oxygen of organizational health. But you don't live solely for oxygen. There has to be more. There has to be more, and that's really why the mission side of things is so important. So the thing that crystallized, and was a catalyst for us getting bigger and scaling, was to amplify our ability to challenge those misconceptions. And we felt what we do in Dead Rabbit, in terms of representing Irish culture, we needed to open up one of these pubs in as many cities as possible. So now we're opening in Austin and DC, and we have criteria in place to pick these places. But we've also started the process now of introducing different concepts. So we just launched the Irish Exit a couple of weeks ago, which is our transit focused concept, and we're aiming to scale that into airports, train stations, sports arenas, and other transit locations in the coming years. And then we're working on two other concepts. So the Dead Rabbit Group, for the next 3 to 5 years, will be these four concepts, three of which we believe are pretty scalable. And our whole thing is partnering with photographers, artists, craftspeople, musicians from back home, and telling their stories on the American stage. And that's, like, you're growing, like, in Dead Rabbit we're growing. So with the difference to me, growing, like, Dead Rabbit this year is up 25% than 2019, which was our busiest year. So the bar is growing. Irish Exit is flying. We've doubled the previous space that we took over. We've already doubled the revenue there. But scaling is a completely different thing. You're 5x and 10x in your company, and you have to build infrastructure around that. You have to build marketing effective around that. You have to build leadership capabilities into that. So scaling is, to your point, is an altogether different thing to growing. But in order for us to fully achieve our mission, we have to scale. And my whole philosophy in life is I'd rather have a smaller slice of a much bigger pie than have a big slice of a small pie. So that's sort of my whole philosophy with everything that we're doing.
Well, it's working, right? Because when I look at all the socials for the dead rabbit, I feel pride. I look at it and I'm proud. I'm proud that Ireland is represented like that in America. And I know I can see your vision. I can see it, and it's just going to be amazing. But you made me laugh, right? Because I was doing my research there on you before we came online, and I was like, how is he doing this? Like growing, it's so hard with a team to get a team with the same vision and that get you and understand you. And I started to look through everything you're doing on LinkedIn now, and I laughed my head off. So you have the guts of a man I've never seen. So you wrote this post on LinkedIn, and I'll link it in the show notes actually, so everybody can go to see. So he's trying to grow his team, right? Everybody that's listening, and he wrote, "Don't apply if you're an asshole." And I was like, is it allowed to say that? And you are said, right? You said that, and you no fear when you said that. But tell me, there was a whole load of other things as well. Don't apply if you're this. Don't apply if you're that. Then do apply if you're this. Tell me about that approach. That's really important? Do you obviously to weed out all the misconceptions about what this role is going to be? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing with me, and this you know this with anybody that comes into the bars or is in our orbit. Authenticity to me and integrity is critical. Um, I am from Ardoyne. I'm from North Belfast. I'm not polished. I say things as they are. I'm a very direct community. I'm not a again over years now. I've learned how to develop the emotional side and all of that type of stuff. So my emotional intelligence is much better than it was. But mince I don't mince my words. I say exactly, and listen, it's the same with everything, even the political situation over here, and the issues in like the Middle East and stuff. I think it's incumbent if you have a platform and you're perceived as a leader, you have to be yourself. You have to be real. You have to say what's on your mind. And listen, you obviously have to be diplomatic and stuff like that, but you have to be real because people that work beside you, alongside you, and your customers, people know authenticity right away. They know it. And my whole thing is before I was sober, it was like I was trying to be everything for everyone. I was trying to, you know, like you were having a million dishes on your food menu, a million cocktails and stuff like that to be as attractive to every single person. And if you have that type of mindset, you're not going to get far in life, or you're going to get burnt out. So I am very like we Dead Rabbit. You don't come to Dead Rabbit if you want a world class agave experience. You don't come to Dead Rabbit if you want a gourmet Michelin star. Like we are a pub. We're a world class cutting edge pub. It's all about contemporary Irish culture. We had a team member when we restructured the company a couple of years ago, and they're like, I want some American music on the playlist. And I'm like, that's great. You can go and work somewhere else if you want that, because that's not what we're going to do here. So authenticity is critical to me. And in terms of building the company now, there's a couple of barriers that I think that keep me up at night in terms of we need to scale these barriers. So it's infrastructure. So as you hinted at before, your procedures, your processes, your systems, solutions, all that type of stuff. We need to have the adequate infrastructure to scale. Our marketing effectiveness, so social media, traditional advertising, all of that type of stuff, we need to be solid there. Leadership, 9 times out of 10, you leave a place because of a leader. So I want to make sure we have world class leaders. And then the cultural side of things, making sure we're the best in class company to work for. We over here we pay all of our team members health insurance. We invest heavily into our culture. So in terms of leaders, I'm 20 this year's 20 years already in the hospitality sector. I've had my fill of shitty leaders. And a lot of leaders, you can feel it right away. It's like they'll call it my team, my staff, my bartender, my this, and it's like it's not. They're not yours. They're not your servants. They're volunteering. They can go and volunteer in another company. They can go somewhere else. So my whole paradigm is on serving, making sure that we have great quality leaders that serve their team, set them up for success, communicate all the time, don't hide in our offices, are open to feedback both from top down and bottom up. Constantly want to grow. There's a whole, and per that LinkedIn post, there's a whole bunch of things I want, and there's a whole bunch of things I don't want. And if you're an asshole, if it's all about you, you're not going to work at you're not going to work in any of our places, and that's the other thing. I I will fire, and I've had to learn this. I've with the first couple of teams we built at Dead Rabbit. I was an autocrat. I was authoritarian. It was all about me, and then I got sober, and I learned, I immersed myself the same way I did in the cocktails, in the leadership business, and all that type of stuff. So in order to be a successful leader, you have to lead people, you have to serve people, you have to communicate your expectations, you have to help them, you have to coach them, and you also have to edit the team. You have to let people go if they're not succeeding. You have to bring new people on, but again, and that's all the type of things I believe in. So I want to make sure I only surround myself with people who believe what I believe, and if they don't, then we quickly address it.
And here, I'm sure there's people who don't like that type of attitude that you like. When I read the LinkedIn post, I'm like, holy shit, he has some nerve. And I feel like excited by that transparency that you have. But do you ever get anybody saying here that type of language is not right when you're trying to recruit? What would you say to people like that? You don't
I'd
care?
say it's probably good. It's probably good that you're not working with us, then. So, and let's not get that, but that again, it's the whole thing why. It's the whole thing why I am saying that, because I want to make sure, like, there's this particularly, and I don't want to veer into this type of thing, like the younger generation is not the same as our generation and all that nonsense, but I want to make sure the big thing with that post was, we have high expectations. You're going to be getting feedback on a consistent basis. We expect you to serve the team. This is the expectation. So if that type of message repelled you, then good. It's serving its purpose, and we're using that to pierce through, because I'd rather get 30 great quality candidates and spend the time filtering them down than getting 300, and then I have to cut through all the bullshit because I wasn't clear on the first go. So I'm fully cognizant that there's going to be some people who are like, God, that's a lot, but working at this company is a lot. That's the reality of it. We are assembling the car while we're driving. We're moving fast. We don't, like, I'm sure there's going to be things we miss, but I want people who are humble, agile, dynamic. I want people that have integrity. I want people who are accountable. I want people that are transparent and all of that type of stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, if people feel that way, then so be it.
Love it. I love it.
You see, I told you he was an amazing character, and he absolutely is. I'm going to link the whole conversation in the show notes, and that bit about that Jack talks about hiring a team and how they have to have the same vision and passion as you is so important. And I love the way he says it out loud, and he's not afraid of what people are going to think. He knows what he needs for his business, and he sets out with that mission always. He's an unbelievable character. I can't wait until the day that I can walk through the doors of the Dead Rabbit in New York and just shake his hand in person. What a guy, and amazing that he's flying the flag for Ireland in America and further afield with everything that he's done. So thank you for listening to Dig Highlights. I can't wait to bring next week's highlight moment to you. And you know what? If you loved it, if you loved the highlight, or if there was any key takeaways, tell us on social media. Reach out at Dig for Success, at Dig Mama, send us an email. All the links are in the show notes, and we will see you next week on the Dig podcast.